Hi, everyone. My name is Brook Eneas, and I am the president and CEO of Rock the Stage Fitness, which is a company dedicated to helping girls get in the best shape of their lives for a pageant stage. I work with numerous young ladies to the tune of thousands, and they have been able to really get into just incredible shape for what a pageant stage requires. And many have taken on various titles, including several national titles. And so I'm super grateful. But today, I want to be able to inspire you with stories. And as we're launching this new podcast, I want you to do me a favor, tune in and just really lean into the stories. Today, I am so pleased to welcome Alaysia, who is just a beauty. And I'm going to read a little bit about her. But first, let's say hello. Alaysia, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
Oh, happy for you to be here. And
Thank
now,
you.
just to give our listening audience, our viewing audience, a little bit more kind of about who you are, background, let's go ahead and read your bio really quickly. So, today's guest is a brilliant, purpose driven young woman whose leadership extends far beyond the stage. Alaysia is a graduate of American University, where she served as a student council president, a scholar, an advocate, and a rising leader passionate about education, service, and empowering her community. She's also making her mark in the pageant world with her elegance, intelligence, and heart, and she is quickly becoming a woman to watch in both leadership and pageantry. I've had the privilege of guiding her in her fitness prep, meeting her through PR pageant coaches, and watching her combine discipline, grace, and determination as she steps into new opportunities. She's smart, poised, and full of light. I am honored to welcome the incredible Alaysia to the show today. Welcome, Alaysia.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm so excited. I can't wait to get into my story and our journey
Yes.
together.
Beautiful. Well, we're going to do just that. But first, let's start with something a little bit more lighthearted. I know that you work with a classroom of kids,
Yes.
some of which you call your friends. I just want to know, just in particular, did something happen over the past semester or so, or even this week, that made you laugh from working in the classroom?
Oh my goodness, something happened yesterday that just warms my heart and it's a core memory unlocked. I transitioned into a new school within DCPS, which is District of Columbia Public Schools. And one of my former students chose to come with me. Her family was just so wowed by the school that I was going to. And they said, Miss Bookal, if you're going there, then I know it has to be a great school. And so she was super nervous about leaving her friends and familiar spaces. But yesterday, she received word that she won the lead role in Madagascar, the school's play. She is going to be the main character. And I told her, I said, wow, you're the new student and you have the main character position. So it doesn't matter where you're coming from or where you're going, you can shine. That made me
Yes.
really.
How old is that student?
She's 7. So she's
She's 7.
actually skipped a grade. She was the
Wow.
youngest one in my class. She's so brilliant. She has this intrinsic motivation and she's just going to do great.
Oh my goodness. So a 7-year-old is teaching us you all how to become the main character, right? As you just kind of flow, which I love. That does make me smile. And I can't wait, hopefully, to see some pictures of the production.
Oh yes, absolutely.
Okay. So in your life right now, if you could have a theme song, what would it be? And I must preference this question. I chose it intentionally for you because when I watched you on stage, oh my gosh, I was just blown away. I'm like, who is this girl? And you're like, yeah, I'm classically trained. And so you're in the America system. And I was just like, oh my gosh. But anyway, so tell me, what song would it be and why?
Oh my goodness. I have so many different songs that I think could fit different facets of my life. When I think about it holistically, I think I would have to, in true Wicked fashion, choose No Place Like Home by Cynthia
Mhm.
Erivo. And I would choose that song because with everything that's going on, people are constantly trying to divide us. And in everything that I do, being a teacher, I work to bring us together because there's truly no place like home. And for me, home has been Florida, home has been Alabama, home has been now Maryland and DC. And so I think that one, I love Cynthia Erivo. Her voice really speaks to me, but I do think there's no place like home. And I want my children, my students, to understand that they are the future and that
Yes.
no matter what's going on currently, if they continue to fight for it, they will make our home, America, no place like home.
It's awesome. And you have really put feet to that. It's not just words. Like in
Yeah.
working with you behind the scenes, your passion and just drive for making sure that this next generation, the lives that you get to touch, are
Hmm.
really impacted is just beautiful. I'm not quite sure if I've ever seen it in terms of the aspect in which you are carrying it out. And we're going to talk about that, I'm sure, a little bit later. But let's talk about ways that you love to relax before we kind of talk about more of the work, right? And the service that you do. How do you relax? And people may not know, but you are, at least from what I understand, a student, right? Working on your doctoral program. I'm not sure if you finished yet.
A couple months left. I
A
just passed
couple
my proposal defense.
Good job. So,
Thank
doctoral
you.
student, you're working full time as a teacher in the classroom,
Mhm.
pageant prep, right? And again, all these other trainings that you've had just throughout life, classical trained, competitive cheer. Your story is just really amazing to me. But how do you find time then to relax?
So, one, I think I love to read. I'm a part of two book clubs, one with my current coworkers, another with my former coworkers. I have recently found that I love psychological thrillers. So, I'm part of a psychological thriller book club on Facebook. So, I really do find a lot of time to read. But I also think, and this is a question that I get all the time, is how do you find time to do all the things?
Yeah.
And I tell people all the time, I'm a faith believer. It's not me. It's God. My cup is refilled when I go to church, and I just feel that I am recharged and I can take on the world. And God truly just wakes me up and gives me this renewed energy to say, let's start with devotion. Let's center ourselves so that we feel that whatever comes our way, we can achieve it, whether that's through the day, through the week. So I definitely feel that I find time to recharge and escape my current space through books, but also through the spirit.
That's so key. Just being honest. Because you can do things that you honestly had no idea, number 1, were in you, and then number
Hmm.
2, the level of just leveling up. And
Yeah.
many girls have used that term throughout the episodes, but it's true, like, the next level is really understanding that there's probably, a power working in you that's greater than you. So it's
Yes.
awesome that you recognize that, especially at this stage, because I know there's so much more in store for you.
Absolutely.
Let's go ahead and kind of turn tables here. Last question for this segment in regards to fun things, but what is one thing that most people are always surprised to learn about you?
So a lot of people are often surprised to learn that I come from a low socioeconomic community. I was
Mm.
not born into riches and wealth. My parents worked essential jobs, and they my mom went to night school when I was young, trying to finish her undergraduate degree. My grandmother would help us with homework while my mom was at school. There were many, many nights where my mom would come home at 11 p.m. and I was still up waiting for her to help me with homework. And when I tell people that, they're like, "Are you serious? You went to private school?" And I'm like, "Yes, I went to private school on a scholarship." So I had to do really well at a very young age and prove myself. But I think it goes back to how much my family poured into me. They walked so that I could run, and that fuels my passion then for my students, but also my passion for leaning into the power of education. My family, my dad doesn't have any college experience. My mom has an undergraduate degree that she finished when I finished high school, and so a lot of my experiences have been trial and error and first time experiences for my entire family. So I truly believe that education can change lives because it changed my own life.
Do you feel a certain amount of pressure because
I
of that? And it's not that you're first generation because your mom congrats to her, was able to
Yes.
graduate. That took a lot of effort. Me being a
Mhm.
mom and just knowing how much it requires, like I'm sure her community, aunts, grandma, really were instrumental. But
Mhm.
do you feel now pressure then because of their sacrifice to make sure that you succeed?
Within myself, I did, but not from my family. My
Okay.
family is just so happy and proud of how
Yeah.
far my sister and I have come. I think my mom is, I am just so in awe of her because to be a woman who she's a single mom, and to have two now doctors under soon to be doctor, but my sister's a doctor under her belt. I don't think that she gets enough credit for all that she did for us to be able to get to this point. I think the pressure that I feel is to be a role model to my students, to show
Mhm.
them and remind them that no matter where you come from, you can succeed, you can do great things, your potential is limitless. And just knowing when it's appropriate to share parts of my story that resonate with them and show them that I did not start here. I got here because of hope and determination. I just continuously hoped that I could get here. And that hope kept my motivation alive. And the same could be done for someone else.
So good. So good. And it's really who you are. You've built such a strong leadership foundation at American University. I want to know
Yeah.
what inspired you then, and I kind of hear it already, to step into leadership so early.
I I think I've always been in leadership since
Yeah.
elementary. When I was in
Mhm.
the fifth grade, I ran for student body president and I won in the fifth grade. But those speeches were like, if you vote for me, I'll make sure we have pizza every Friday.
Well, you sound like a politician.
I, I'm for the people. And then in the eighth grade, I was our eighth grade class president. When I was in the
Mhm.
ninth grade, the 11th grade, the 12th grade, I was also the class president. So being a servant leader has always been my thing. It's never there's never been a moment where I didn't think I was going to serve through leadership. But I think it's not for myself, it's because of what has happened to me through other leaders and those who have been servants. Again, I everything in my life has been trial and error, but it's also been, and I have to recognize the people who have poured into me and those who have made the choices and the decisions to be my mentors and to show me the way because they decided to serve. And so when I came to American, I just knew I have to find a way to serve. And that was through being the student body president. And I honestly didn't think I was going to win because the president from the year before chose to run again. And so I really had to be intentional to look for what's missing and how can I fill that gap. And so that's how I was able to be elected. And I truly was grateful for that experience. There was an article that was written about my experience and how I can get more people to be involved. And I had to share with them that you have to find what it is that's missing, and you have to believe that you could be the missing puzzle. And I believed that, and it was the reason that kept me going regardless of what I felt was stacked against me.
So, so good. I think most people are looking sometimes at opportunities for what they can gain. It sounds to me as if you look for opportunities for what you can give, which is
Yeah.
beautiful, and
Mm-hmm.
to bring solutions.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of missing pieces in the culture right now. And that's
Yeah.
why for me, pageantry is important because number one, it's the cream of the crop, just being honest. I
Mm-hmm.
call our clientele overachievers, but it's really a drive that is just so uncommon. And it's
Yeah.
beautiful because it allows, in my opinion, pageantry fosters just development from the inside out, or at least it should. So,
Mm-hmm.
so you can recognize really who you are and the gift that you are. But let's just talk about then the opposite side of that because you won at American, but then let's just talk about sometimes that you may not have won in terms
Yes.
of what you thought. So, how did that shape you as well?
So when I was in undergrad, I was
Mhm,
the academic vice president, and I made the choice that towards the end of my reign that I was going to run for student body president.
mhm.
And everyone just knew, "Oh, she's going to win. Of course, she's going to win." I did not win. And it was so close. I did not win. And I just
Oh,
remember that being such a profound moment in my
mhm,
undergraduate career, but also in life. I remember after losing and finding out that I lost, of course, I shared a message to my supporters because everyone was just like, oh, we need a recount and all of these things. And I said, absolutely not. We are not doing that. We are going to
wow.
turn our support over and we are going to fully support the individual who has won. She has worked so hard to come to this moment. And there are other ways that we can serve. And there are other ways that I will be serving. And so you will see me serving in that capacity. And if there's any other way that I can help her, I will. And I remember the next day, my advisor sat me down. He was like, so tell me how you really feel. And I said, okay, I'm so glad you asked. I have all these plans that I want to do. I want to do this and I want to do that. And he was looking at me like, no, are you okay? And I said, yes, I'm okay. And my mentor took me out for breakfast, and he was like, I just want us to have a moment to kind of pray and talk to God about the sermon and where's the next step. I said, I know where the next step is. God's already spoke to me. I walk with God through everything that I'm doing. I am okay. And that has taught me that whether you're winning or whether you're losing,
Yeah.
the world is watching. Once you step into
Wow.
that leadership role, you cannot step away from it. And so I was able to teach my community that there's still so much to learn when you lose. And I've learned quite a bit.
Yeah.
Even in my pageant experience, I've been third runner up. And then the next year I was second runner up. And then the next year I'm first runner up. So while there has been much success in being able to be a runner up, it's also you're losing, you know? And
Yes.
so I've learned that you can still be graceful and you can still learn and you can still serve even though you didn't walk away with the trophy or the crown. And I have a children's book that share a lot about that.
Yes. Yeah. It's powerful because I think, especially for girls who might be in a situation or maybe in a season where they feel as if things didn't pan out, right? It didn't work out
Mm-hmm.
like according to my plan. There's
Yeah.
still so much to learn in that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's humbling, but it
Yeah.
allows you to see, I think, where your heart really is. And that's one thing again I appreciate about you is watching even in the midst of maybe things not panning out as planned, you're like, but I'm still going to do what I plan to do and not
Mm-hmm.
putting on this false pretense of I'm doing it just to say that I have this platform, but it's really not who I am. And I just want to talk really quickly about your nonprofit and your or at least your plans rather
Yeah.
for the future in terms of kids and what that looks like. Can you just share really briefly just about how you really want to impact the community?
There are so many ebbs and flows when I think about how I want to impact the community. For a really long time I wanted to start my own school, and that's still a very long-term passion that I have. But I do have a nonprofit which has taken many shapes and forms. It was the Gifted Goddess when it started in its creation, and it really taught girls that you are unique, and that doesn't mean that you are above, but it also doesn't mean that you are beneath. You have this unique skill set that sets you apart. And so while you may not wow a large audience, you wowed someone. And someone's always watching you. And because of that, you have to make sure that you hold yourself to a high standard. You have to wear your crown as if you won the crown, because you did in someone's eyes. And so I teach girls that from a very young age, especially because around their teen age, they're so impressionable. And social media pushes them and teaches them that there's one way that they have to be to win the applause. But I try to teach them that you have applause. They may be from one, two, or three people, but those are applause. And because of that, you have to hold yourself to a high standard.
Yeah.
But it's also have taken shape to now want to address that a lot of our youth are feeling depressed. I think the numbers
Yeah.
are around 1 in 4 that they
Right.
feel that they are experiencing depression, and suicide is a leading cause of death in our children. It's in the millions of children that commit suicide, which is a very stark and uncomfortable number for me in the US. And so because of that, it lets me know that I can't only encourage our children to hold themselves to a high standard, but I have to recognize how they are feeling now. And I have to let them know that I see them and I hear them and I value them. And I want to create this community that also values them, so that at any moment that they feel alone, they have a space to come back to see that they're never alone. And so that's where
Mm.
my nonprofit is now. I am working now with my illustrator, who helped me with creating my original children's book, on creating a set of books to help our youth to name the emotion that they're feeling, even if it's as complex as words that are triggering, like anxiety. We don't like to say that our kids have anxiety, but that's real. And those are the things that are happening. And if we continue to shy away from it, that number will continue to increase of those who are just ending their lives. Life is worth living.
Yes.
And I really want our kids to see that and to live it in a way that fulfills them.
We so need you. We need your leadership. And to any listener who's tuned in, I just want to encourage you to keep digging, right?
Yeah.
We've heard stories of those who have celebrity status and also in the pageant world who also have sadly taking their own lives. The truth of
Mhm.
the matter is, you all, life is worth living. I'm just going to reiterate kind of what Alaysia mentioned. It's worth living. And the ebbs and flows, winning, losses, growth,
Mhm.
moments of growth, right? Moments of just challenge. I just want to encourage you, there's something there that can really help to develop, and it is developing you if you allow it to. And it's not the
Mhm.
end of the story. I've watched you handle, I think, losses, Alaysia, with such, again, grace and elegance, kind of what we mentioned earlier. And I just so appreciate the example because, it's one thing like your mentor called you into the office and or out to breakfast and whomever, really checking on your heart space. I think that's super
Mhm.
important for us to
Mhm.
check on those that are around us. But I
Yeah.
appreciated the fact that you said, no, I'm really good. Win, lose, or draw, it doesn't make me. And I want you to kind of speak into that just for a moment because I think sometimes we think the crown makes us special.
Mm.
And to be honest with you, it doesn't. It gives you an opportunity to be able to influence greater,
Mhm.
but who you are is already special. What would you say to a young lady who is struggling with trying to just understand their worth?
Mhm. I would say to her, when you were born with a purpose. And that purpose can change, that purpose can grow, that purpose can take shape once you find your passions. I love what the late Elijah Cummings said, to find your three P's: pain, passion, and purpose. You have to find the thing that really makes you ache, that you see in the world that you just can't sit with and allow to continue happening. And for me, that was seeing that our children do not feel they belong in this world.
Mhm.
And that led me to my passion. I am passionate about advocating for adverse childhood experiences. I am passionate about advocating for childhood trauma. I am passionate about advocating for children. And so that led me to my purpose. And I am the one who gets to define that. No one else, not a crown, not a degree, not a trophy. I get to say, I am going to define the way that I live my life. I am going to define the way that I show up in this world. And I would tell that young girl that do not allow anyone else to make that decision for you.
Yes.
You are the one who gets to live your life. You are the one who has to live your life. So you are the one who gets to determine what causes your pain. And that pain leads you to your passion. And that passion will show you your purpose. And so if you don't win the crown, that's okay because you were born with purpose, which means you were born with the crown.
So good. Yeah. If you need to go rewatch that, do. But just know there's something special about you. You're the only
Mhm.
one, honestly, that is uniquely made and fit exactly for that exact thing. So let's just switch gears a bit and talk about pageantry. I want to know, Alaysia, then, was there a moment that you realized that I really want to pursue pageantry seriously? And if so, just talk us through that.
So I did pageants when I was in high school. I don't think many people know that. I did my high school pageant at my private school and I loved it. I thoroughly enjoyed it, but I don't think that was the moment where I decided that's what I'm going to do.
Sure.
It definitely made me feel great. I loved being on the stage, but I've always loved being on the stage, from singing, from performing in fine arts performances, cheerleading and dancing. I think the turning point for me, though, was 22. This was shortly after living with being diagnosed with anxiety and panic disorder after losing my brother. And that was a really hard time for me. And I received a LinkedIn message about the Miss District of Columbia pageant, which is a preliminary competition to the Miss America organization. And I saw that and I said, absolutely not. Get on a stage, talk about my life, talk about things that I'm passionate about. At the time, I didn't even know who I was because for so long, my passion was all about advocating for the experience that my brother had and advocating against malpractice and the experiences that reshaped his life and my family's life. And I just knew I wanted to be an attorney and advocate for children who are experiencing these experiences and those who are experiencing malpractice. And then my brother passed away. And I said, well, who am I now? What am I supposed to do? I just didn't know. And I completely lost myself. And I stepped on that stage, and leading up to that moment, I had to really think about, who are you? You're about to step on a stage and tell people who you are, and you have to know who you are. And it took intentional work. It took really getting to know who I was. It took therapy. It took asking my friends, when you see me, who do you see? Or what are three words that you would use to describe me? And hearing what they said, hearing their reflections made me realize I am so much more than one experience in my life. I am so much more than what happened to me. And I think that was the turning point for me, that the stage allowed me to see that I could share with other individuals something so deeply and personal that happened to me, that's happening to everyone. We all lose someone that means the world to us, but we can't lose ourselves when we lose
Yeah.
them. We have to allow the good experiences that we had with them to fuel us, to keep living for them, and to keep living for those who are losing others. And that was a turning point for me. That experience that I had of learning who I was at a time when I completely lost myself, when I lost my brother, and seeing that there is power in being able to step on a stage, have a platform that speaks not just for myself, but for others.
Yeah. Oh man. So sorry to hear about that. I don't think I've heard that story. So, and it's interesting because I feel like there's always something that kind of incites, right? That next step. And,
Mhm.
but I love that you said we cannot just be framed in by it. We really
Mhm.
have to allow it to kind of set us free to be able to flow and discover more. And
Yeah.
I think you've done that so well. Being introduced to you and working with you over the past, I don't know what, 2 years, I guess now, has been such a joy because you definitely have just, again, this it factor. And I just want to know, before we started working together, what do you think you struggled with the most in terms of your fitness prep for the stage?
It wasn't consistent. It
Mhm.
honestly just felt as if this is something I have to do so that I can look physically fit for a criteria that a pageant has set up for me. This it wasn't a lifestyle. It definitely wasn't something that I was doing after the pageant was over. It was very much, okay, let's eat less and work out all the time so that we can lose weight. I would have these terrible feelings of like, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm going to die because I need to eat. Get me a Snicker now. And I honestly, after the pageant, I was like, I want a burger, I want ice cream, I want fries, I want all the things because it's over. And honestly, after working with you, it was a complete mindset shift. It was like, wait, I can enjoy what I'm eating. I can enjoy working out. I think working with you, what really changed a lot for me was our conversations. We would have these
Mm.
conversations, and a lot of our conversations were around balance, and I did not have the balance. I was doing all the things, and I had this puzzle that I'm like, okay, let's shove working in there, and when it gets in, it gets in. But then when I was working with you, it was like, okay, we have all these pieces. Where could we fit in having a healthier lifestyle? And
Yeah.
for me, I realized that having a healthier lifestyle wasn't just about my body, but it was always about what's
Mhm.
happening in my mind, what's happening in my heart. And that's what I appreciated about working with you the most, was that you took the time to have conversations with me. Our
Mhm.
conversations were scheduled for what, maybe an hour, 30 minutes, but they would be 45 minutes or an hour and
Mhm.
15 minutes because
Mhm.
you took the time to really say, okay, what's happening here? How does
Mhm.
that make you feel? What do you want to do moving forward? And so that has taught me that being Miss America fit
Yeah.
is not just about how you look, but about how you feel too.
I just feel like anytime that you engage, especially with a coach, that it should change your life. And it should change your
Hmm.
life for the better. You should
Yeah.
walk away being a little bit more confident, more knowledgeable, but also just getting the result. And when I looked at your pictures just the other day, like I'm always, in fact, you're the cover of one of my free guides that I give away. But just like looking at the before and after, and both were on stages, it's
Hmm.
just undeniable. And the thing
Yeah.
about it is just knowing what to do makes all the difference. Just understanding how the body works, how
Hmm.
beautiful a woman's body is, how delicate, right? And
Hmm.
wanting to care for it, for that, and love and honor the gift of who we are is really important in the process. And so I'm just grateful just to see not only your before and after physically, But to even hear you said it before, and it really touched me about the heart space.
Mm-hmm.
Just watching how you've shifted. So I want to know, just in our last few minutes together, what surprised you the most in regards to your training? Because I think in terms of consistency, you talked about that not really being as consistent, and so you're hitting
Mm-hmm.
and missing, hitting and missing. You can't really expect tip top right results when you're just kind
Mm-hmm.
of all over the place. It really
Mm-hmm.
does require a level of discipline. And so, can you talk through what it looked like in terms of scheduling? Because you had early mornings, again, working on a doctorate, like you had a lot traveling, or
Yeah.
how did you get it in just to be able to be an example for others who also have a lot going on?
I think what's so powerful about the before and after picture that you have posted is that in the after, I really took the intentional time with you to think about, why do I even want to do this? And having your why is so important. My why is what woke me up at 4 o'clock in the morning to work out, because I just knew that if I didn't do it before my day started, it might not have happened. And so it woke me up early. My workouts weren't just me working out, but they were also me having devotion. It was also me grounding myself and centering myself, having affirmations during that time. I think what shocked me the most was that I could do it. You can do it.
Yeah.
No matter how busy you are, no matter how busy your schedule looks, if it's something that you're passionate about, if it's a lifestyle that you truly want to have, you can do it. It can be done. And I think that one, the workouts are not easy. I used to text my friend Cleo all the time, and I was like, girl, have you seen this workout that Brooke has scheduled for us? Especially when it becomes two a days. I would say, okay, here we go. Let's look at the schedule. We have a two a day. We're going to have to do one in the morning and in the
Right.
afternoon. But
Mhm.
just knowing that it's truly mind over matter.
Yeah.
And if you allow your mind to hit the next level of saying, I am going to do this, not I'm going to try, because try has a level, a little space of not doing it, but saying that I'm going to do it. This is the goal, and this is something that I'm going to do. And once I had that shift of realizing that I could do it and that I'm going to do it, I gave it everything I had. And now it's part of my lifestyle. That all of our conversations continue to ring in my head. And I wake up and I say, okay, even if it's just 35 minutes on the
Sure.
treadmill,
Mhm.
having a brisk walk, or
Mhm.
thinking of ways that I can lean myself out, or even thinking about the conversations that I would have with myself. Yeah, that made all the difference.
Yeah. To see you do it, and then to pull Cleo, three, like the two of you together as a duo. We actually had her episode recording yesterday, and we
Oh,
talked about you. We talked about your sisterhood together, and it's just awesome. So if you
that's
haven't
my
watched that
girl.
episode, hopefully it's been released, but you can go back and watch Cleo's episode as well. But yeah, just having somebody else, right, to kind of partner with,
Mhm.
or to say, hey, let's just get this in, let's just do it, makes all
Yeah.
the difference in the world. And to see you, though, honestly take it upon yourself to say, I'm just going to get up and get it done, because I know
Mhm.
how full your days were, but you did it, and the results just showed it. And it allowed you, I think, to level again up in a way that you hadn't experienced before, and you, no one can take that away from you. And so it's just beautiful, man.
Thank
So
you.
in our last few seconds together, if again someone's watching and told you that she really wants to compete, and just wants to know just if she should invest in coaching or the level of discipline that's necessary, what would you tell her? And then finally, just to add to that, what would you say as a closing statement to our listening audience?
So I would tell her, absolutely do it.
Mhm.
It's going to change your life, not just for how you present yourself on the stage, but how you feel with inside. And that's, to me, what matters the most. I felt so good on stage because of the preparation and the work that went into me before the stage. And now I'm a much better person because of it. The wheel does not have to be reinvented. You have people who have done it over and over and over again, like Rock the Stage. You have seen how what happens when determination and when consistency are pushed and are happening. And I think because of that, you have this wealth of knowledge that you can then pour into me. And that's what I would tell her. I would tell her that you absolutely should invest in it. Listen, I'm
Yeah.
on teacher salary. And I absolutely invest in it because it's worth it. Before it, I was just going with the flow and trying to figure it all out on my own. And then the competition came and I did not feel my best. And then I made the investment and the competition came and I said, I'm so ready because I've gone through so many different stages and so many things that I didn't feel that I could do and did. And because of that, my confidence grew. I felt so much better about myself. I knew who I was. I had a why that was poured into me. I had a sisterhood that poured into me, and that sisterhood is so important. I didn't mention it earlier, but our Rock the Stage group chat means the world to me because you shout out the girls who have competitions coming. And you're receiving a ton of messages, of prayers, of encouragement, of reminders of the things that you thought you couldn't do, but did. And so then it reminds you this is something that I may feel like it's a it's an impossible task because there's only one crown, but you never know. It could be you.
Yeah.
At the time, I didn't know if it was me who could lose the weight or who could look lean. And then I became the girl. And so I would tell her, you could be the girl if you just bet on yourself. Invest in it and bet on yourself.
Oh, so good. Wow. If I could do it over as a former competitor, everything that you just said, Alacia, is just spot on. It's just spot on. It makes all the difference in the
Mhm.
journey and also the level of joy. And so
Yes.
if you're contemplating and you want more info, please check the show notes below. But again, I'm going to also encourage you to go back, rewatch this episode. Alacia said a lot. And I just want you to be able to pull from that as you step into this next season of your life. And we just believe that there's some really great things in store for you in your next chapter. So, like, share, subscribe, comment, let us know what you thought. And
Yes.
we're just so excited to be able to have you here as we kind of embark on this new level of journey together. So, Alacia, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I absolutely love and adore you. So thank you just for being you and for sharing your light. So that's it for today. Thank y'all again for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next episode. All right. Bye bye.
Bye.